Hey, what's up, Silver Stackers? Thank you for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. Times are very ugly, and unfortunately, it's only going to get uglier. We have to protect ourselves with precious metals, something that holds its value, a hedge against inflation as the dollar is collapsing, diminishing in purchasing power. The dollar's already lost 98% of its original purchasing power. 98%. And it's only going to get worse. If you keep your money in your bank account, it's burning away. If you keep your money in stocks, it's like switching seats on the Titanic. Anything pegged to the dollar is going to go down with it. You have to protect your wealth with precious metals because it's not about the price tag attached to that 1 ounce coin. The value of the coin is the 1 ounce inside of it. No matter who says that 1 ounce coin is worth what is irrelevant, because the value is the 1 ounce inside of it. Nothing else has that type of intrinsical value. Everything else is valued at the price tag, but the price tag is irrelevant. Spot price is irrelevant because dollars are irrelevant. Once you understand that, you become a true silver stacker. Once you understand that, whether silver is $15 or $50 it doesn't matter because you're not comparing the value of silver in dollar terms because the dollar is worthless. But anyways, we know that we are in a recession, and I like that this article really dives deep into the recession and what this has to do with commodities. It's a very, very good article, thorough. I really hope that you stick through this entire thing because we have a lot to discuss. First and foremost, I'm doing a massive, major giveaway when I hit 60,000 subscribers. You do not want to miss it. The entry video is in the description, probably the pinned comment as well. I also have some deals to offer you. If you want to purchase some silver, you can get Britannias, Krugerrands, Philharmonics, even backdated maples at only $4.75 over spot. Important, because a couple people tried to go online. Their site isn't up yet. To purchase, what you have to do is send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. That is how you reach them. And that's how you can purchase. Say you want that deal or ask what else they have in stock. They have lots of stuff. And let them know Silver Slayer sent you. They will be happy to hear it. I can guarantee that. That's how you purchase right now until the website's up, which it's almost up, so stay tuned. It's just as easy to buy through email as it is on the site. It's all official. It's all legit. Andy Schectman's the CEO. It's one of the most respected, if not the most respected companies in the industry. I mean, these guys are affiliated with David Morgan. Andy Schectman is friends with Bix Ware, Keith Neumeyer. I mean, all the top dogs. And I'm so glad I can offer you guys an opportunity to build a relationship buying through a direct source like that with so much influence and power in the precious metals world. So anyways, speaking of David Morgan, I'm just casually emailing him back and forth, which is insane. I'm trying to play it cool with him, but he has no idea. I'm like freaking out because he's my idol. He is the main person I look up to in terms of a silver influencer or someone who really does bring a lot of attention to the world of precious metals. He's from the Morgan Report. He's actually going to be sending me a book. He's like, what's your address? I'm going to send you the Silver Manifesto. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my gosh, this is unreal. And then, we're talking about Skyping each other with the interview. So a lot of big things happening, folks. I mean, I can't thank you all enough for the incredible amount of support. I'm going to shut up now talking about all that other stuff. I'm sure you want to jump into this article. The link will be in the description. Let's talk silver. Commodities. Buy the dip. Parts of the commodity complex have pulled back since June on fears of a global recession. Yet, we believe the structural climate change-driven bull case is intact and commodities remain the most effective inflation hedge. Always will be. I don't understand why it takes something so disastrous for it to finally click where they're like, oh, maybe I should buy gold and silver now. It should be regardless of if we're in a recession. And even during that, even in times of this, people are still skeptical. It's insane. Parts of the commodity complex have pulled back since June, prompting an almost audible sigh of relief from global financial markets. Fears of a global recession have driven sizable divestments from commodity positions among investors. Yet, structural climate change driven bull case we outlined for commodities is intact, and commodities remain the most effective inflation hedge. And this is where they kind of get into what I was talking about as well, where we move into the climate change, global warming, the solar panels, electric vehicles, so on and so forth. We remain bullish and believe market is complacent about upside risks in commodities. While demand worries are understandable, it is structural supply side constraints set against a backdrop of very low global inventories that remain the key bullish driver. And exactly, I always talk about the main reason that silver is so explosive is because the supply and demand fundamentals. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. That's investing 101. We have a very low supply. We have a rapidly rising demand, and that is going to be the key bullish driver, like they said, the key bullish driver. And not only that, though, you also have to remember, regardless if it was supply and demand constraints, you still should be putting your money in this because of the hedge against inflation, because the dollar's collapsing. So it's like a win-win. Investors should also consider that 15 to 25% corrections in commodity markets are completely normal during bullish cycles. Yes, things are going to be crazy because times are crazy. And people are investing off emotion, not off logic. Invest with your head, not your heart. Recession fears have restrained commodity markets in recent months. Parts of the commodity complex, notably oil, precious metals, and base metals, as well as grains, have pulled back since June, prompting an almost audible sigh of relief from global financial markets. Falling oil prices have coincided with peaking U.S. CPI inflation and declining in forward-looking inflation expectations. Brent oil prices are down around 25% from their March highs, down approximately 20% since June. U.S. average gasoline prices have fallen from more than $5 a gallon, currently below $4. What is gas around your area, by the way? Bringing relief to U.S. consumers, and that's definitely some relief. Elsewhere, mainstream media headlines on a looming global food crisis coincided with an interim high for grain markets in May. Wheat prices are currently below levels seen just before the invasion between those two countries. Precious metals and industrial metals have also had a dismal run since early March, and the list goes on. So kind of going into the food stuff, you got to be prepared. Looking into interviewing a prepping channel because, when we're talking about this type of stuff, you got to prepare for the worst. I'm not going to bring the doomsday apocalyptic angle to you all. I'm talking about silver, but a lot of people stack silver because of that reason, and we have to be prepared. Things are definitely only going to get worse. So to protect your family, to protect yourself, it goes far beyond precious metals. Among a broader pullback, wheat prices are below Russian versus or the invasion levels. I don't even want to say those two words because the AI robots will pick up on that and think I'm talking about a very controversial topic, and then they won't promote my video in the algorithm. That's why a lot of times I'll say like global situation instead of COV. And that stuff is real, by the way. If you're a YouTube channel, make sure you don't say some of that stuff because the algorithm will pick up on it and they will not promote your videos. Anyways, clearly fears of a global recession have scared investors away from commodities. Selling pressure has been protracted with declines in positioning since April, very stark. Overall, net non-commercial positioning has moved from significant net long positioning. Concerns around slowing global demand have firm basis in reality. PMI type indicators point towards a synchronized global slowdown. Realized oil demand has indeed disappointed somewhat. Additionally, China's housing downturn has been deep and remains unresolved, pressuring industrial metals in particular. So here's some charts. I'm not going to go over all this. I mainly just want to look at the precious metals types. I want to make. I mean, this is a silver stacking channel. I'm not going to go deep into the side stuff. I always link these articles in the description, so you can do so if you want. But I just want to focus on silver. So investor indifference to commodities appears complacent given the bullish price risks in the global inflation environment. Despite the demand concerns we discussed above, we remain bullish and believe that the market is complacent about upside risks in commodities. While the demand side of commodity balances are providing ample cause for concern, it is the supply side, or they already mentioned that, that's what should make investors sweat, sit up, and take notice. Two examples from both parts of the commodity complex in which we are bullishly positioned illustrate this dynamic well. Firstly, it's crude oil. The bearish drumbeat here has been relentless, yet investors should consider the following factors. One, despite a record strategic petroleum reserve released in the United States, inventories remain historically low. October, this flow will have likely ceased, and U.S. strategic reserves will be lowest since 1980s. If, as is stated, U.S. government policy, the reserve is rebuilt, the SPR will flip from being a source of net supply to a source of net demand in the oil market. Number two, just at the point the SPR's lowest level since 1980s, OPEC is very close to running at maximum capacity and has been consistently unable to meet stated quota levels. Three, overall capital investment levels to crude oil markets remain very low relative to history, and we are not witnessing a surge of capital into the United States shale basins on anything like the scale witnessed in the shale boom. Number four, crude oil is extremely cheap compared to broader fossil fuel complex. While Brent crude is trading around $95 per barrel, European natural gas and barrel of oil equivalent in terms of trading is more than $400. By the way, they write these sentences very weirdly. That's why it's kind of hard to read. So anyways, in summary, with new supply limited and recession fears already high, oil prices are likely to increase following the summer correction. They don't use commas in the correct manner, and they put words together. It's just, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to go over the grain markets. So let's just keep moving on. So they go into live cattle, cotton, gasoline, corn, crude oil, wheat, zinc, aluminum, copper, nickel. So then backwardation, positive roll return. So they say investors should note that while no two cycles are the same, it is not abnormal to observe corrections of 15 to 25% that the last months within a long-term cycle. The 1970s bull cycle saw 7 such corrections, while the period from 2001 to 2008 saw at least 5 corrections of more than 10%. And then when leading into 2008, we had the recession or depression, and then we had the credit financial crisis, the stimulus, which was over billions of dollars in stimulus, which led to $50 silver 3 years later. So if 2008 was the start of that $50 silver boom, then we could say 2020 was the start. Now, is it going to take 3 years like it did back then? Who knows? But it's very similar situations in terms of, this time recession/depression, credit financial crisis, $1 trillion stimulus, plus we have a global situation on our hands. So if that led silver to $50 back then, imagine what it could lead silver to today. But we're also in the middle of an invasion, a war, a lot of different stuff. So who knows? No two examples or no two comparisons throughout history are going to be exactly the same, but there is a lot of similarities. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I definitely think that preparing for upcoming times is very important. Food, water, shelter, things, especially if you're trading or bartering. The perfect type of silver would be eagles, junk silver, for fractionals, when you're trading and bartering fractional silver is critical, because if you're going to trade or barter, especially if an ounce of silver is worth a lot more by that time, if you're trading or bartering and all you have are 1 ounce coins and you're trying to trade with someone for something that isn't worth a full ounce, you can't take a chainsaw to your coin. You would use mercury dimes or barber quarters or walking liberty half dollars. That is why junk silver is so important, especially if you're someone who's prepping or stacking because of the preparations of the upcoming times. Junk silver, usually stuff that's government backed, American minted stuff. I think that's, made in America is very important. And I just made a video actually the other day talking about why it's important to own silver made in America, as the United States is kind of diverging, kind of getting shunned out from all these other countries. But anyways, that's a whole separate video. I'm just saying that you guys got to protect yourselves, and I think that silver is the best way to do so, especially since gold is so expensive. Silver would be the ideal thing since it cannot be created nor destroyed. It has been valuable since the beginning of man, literally 5,000 years since the beginning of man. Silver's been seen as some type of value, some type of exchange. Back in the day, it was magical to people, which it is magical because it can purify water. It has antimicrobial properties, antibacterial properties. You drop milk, or you drop silver in milk, keeps the milk fresh longer. It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, even light sensitivity. No other element responds to other elements the way that silver does. It is the best metal, most critical thing in the world when we're talking about silver used in solar panels and EVs, trying to make the entire world go green, zero net emissions by the year 2040. Silver is the main thing that's either going to make that happen or not make that happen, since we don't have enough to make all those solar panels and EVs. So big things coming. Hope you now understand the critical role silver plays. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Highly recommend you go check out my last video. One of my favorite videos I made in a while. Put a lot of time into it. It's talking about Congress going at the U.S. Mint, attacking the U.S. Mint, because the U.S. Mint can't keep up with the demand, the overwhelming demand of eagles. So they have a hard time sourcing the silver planters to make these eagles. Very interesting stuff. I highly recommend you go check that out. Also, go enter my giveaway. You don't want to miss it. And if you want to buy some silver, go send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know you want that deal of the Britannias, Krugerrands, Philharmonics, or the backdated Maples, or anything else they have in stock. You can ask them, and they'll be more than happy to help you and get you straightened out. And let them know the Silver Slayer sent you. That also is a way to support me for free. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.